Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Run and Code. I'm your host T-Bone, along with my partner J-Man. J-Man, how you doing?
Doing good, man.
It has been a while.
It has been a while.
Well, we took a little hiatus, listeners and watchers. Thank you very much. We had a lot going on. I had promoted to detective. He had moved on to some other things, still in law enforcement. And we just didn't have time to catch up. Schedules changed, so we do apologize for that. But we are back, and we're going to make the best of it and try to get caught up on with all of you, and you all get caught up with us. And it is post-election.
Yeah.
Trump won. Thank you, God. That can only be good for law enforcement. Now, let me say this off the top. I don't care who you voted for because as long as you voted. In my mind, you cannot complain if you didn't vote. So if
Yeah.
you voted, great. If your side didn't win, I'm sorry. That is how democracy works. I can't say I was thrilled 4 years ago, but I got up and I went to work and did my job.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect people the way they think it's going to. And I've been hearing some horribly stupid crap since the election.
Yeah. Had just one traffic stop in particular, and I don't know. It's just an outwards comment, but the guy thought I was going to hurt him just because Trump won the election. I'm just like, no, no, no. That's not what's going to happen here. It's no. That's not happening.
There's so much misinformation out there from social media that make it sound like people are using the word fascist. If you actually don't know the definition of a word, you probably shouldn't use the word. Fascist means a form of government that is controlled by the military. Hitler was a fascist. His government was controlled by the military.
Yeah.
Trump is not a fascist. You still have the same checks and balances you've always had.
Yeah.
You still have the separation of powers. None of that has changed. And you have these people saying, oh, he's going to revoke rights. Tell me what rights he's going to take from you. He might give you the right to actually have a little more spending money because he'll lower inflation, get us back on the gold standard, not tax your overtime, not tax Social Security, not tax your retirement. All these are good things. I don't know how people think these are bad things. I'm not going to get deep into abortion, but the only thing I will say on that one is nobody revoked anyone's right to do it. They just returned it to the states to make that decision. That's all they did. They didn't say you can't do it. They just made it the 10th Amendment decision. The states make the call. You decide what you want to do in your state. That's all they did. But when you have the left saying that it was a bad thing, okay, well, you had 4 years to change it and you didn't. So how come you didn't change it? So you did nothing in those 4 years to reverse that decision. Now all of a sudden you want to use it as a stomping ground to get to get elected. Well, you had 4 years and you didn't do anything about it. So it has nothing to do with that at all. That's just give me votes, give me votes, give me votes. That's all that is. And I'll tell you right now, the attempted assassination on President Trump is, I think, what drove it really over the top. Like they miscalculated there.
Oh yeah, it's man, I remember being at work, seeing it on TV as far as like the news coverage, and I'm just like, And at first I'm just kind of like, is that like, I'm like, does this happen a couple of days ago? But no,
It just
it was
happened.
ongoing. It just happened. It was ongoing. And
Yeah, there's a lot going on with that. I'm not getting into that because they haven't even released the congressional report on that. And you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
He missed. It's down. It's done. Let the FBI and the Secret Service do their investigation. I'm not getting involved.
And,
In
of,
that.
and of course, with the other incident with the guy at his golf course,
Oh yeah.
the one that was in the bushes.
Yeah. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, so it's just this
Man can't even play a round of golf without being bothered.
this election for law enforcement specifically is just
Well, we were all in work, and they called everybody into work that day. The election day and the day after, everybody had to be in blues instead of suits and ties. So every single person in my agency had to be in full uniform just in
sense.
case. And honestly, I was really surprised, pleasantly surprised that, for the most part, stayed pretty chill. Didn't have the mass freakouts that everyone thought was going to happen. And I remember I stayed up till midnight, and I couldn't stay up any longer. I was like, I got to work tomorrow. I got to get to bed. And he hadn't won Pennsylvania yet. So I was like, yeah, that'll be the deciding one. And I woke up at 6 a.m. First thing I was grabbing my phone and said, thank you, God. And it's not that I like Trump more than I hate Kamala, because I don't hate her and I don't love him. I'm trying to think of what is best for this country. Does he say things I like? Not all the time. Sometimes he says some things I kind of wish okay, maybe that wasn't the best to say, but he says things that he feels needs to be said. He doesn't talk like a politician. And that's what freaks everybody out. You look at President Obama, smooth speaker, young, charismatic black man. I can see how he seduced the country because he did. He seduced the country, but he was a smooth talker and he talked like he was polished, and then you got God bless him, President Bush. Didn't sound great talking, but he wasn't stupid. He just wasn't a great public speaker.
Yeah.
And then Biden, don't get me started on that. The man looks like a Roomba. But I think he actually cares about this country. Not what it can do for him, but what he can do for the country.
Mm-hmm.
Like the old saying, like Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your country. He doesn't need money. He doesn't need anything. He genuinely, I think, really does care about this country. Now, is he still a politician? Of course.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be. You
Yeah.
can't do that job and not have some politics in there.
Yeah.
But by and large, he doesn't seem to let those make his decisions. He makes a decision that he feels is best.
Yeah.
And if you look at all his picks for his cabinet, I think you're going to see some big changes. The biggest one I'm hoping is the NFA gets repealed, the National Firearms Act. You can have short barrels again, suppressors, you can have automatic weapons, because the Supreme Court has already ruled that that's a no-no. So you have Chevron law. And I'm not going to get into Chevron law like in depth because that's a whole lot. Listeners, readers, watchers, look it up. Look up Chevron law. But the Supreme Court ruled that the ATF never had the right to make those choices. They never had the right to make those laws. ATF is not a regulatory agency. They do not make laws. They're not, they're not a legislative authority. They do not make laws. They enforce the laws on the books.
Okay.
But they make these decisions about all of a sudden this bump stock's illegal now, or this wrist brace is now illegal, and now you have a short barrel rifle instead of a pistol. All of a sudden, you turn 6 million people into felons. They didn't have the right to do that, and so the Supreme Court stepped in and said, "Nope, you don't have that right or authority." So you're going to start seeing some changes. The NFAs may get repealed, so you can actually have a short barrel without being a felon.
Okay.
Doesn't mean if you're a felon you can have it. That's not going to change. It's the type of weapon. So you'll be able to have a 3-round burst or full rock and roll or a short barrel or a suppressor without jumping through a million hoops, because you have to pay a tax stamp right now. If I want a short barrel rifle, I want a suppressor, I want a 3-round burst or full automatic, I have to pay a $200 fee to the government and get what's called a tax stamp. Now, it used to take months and months and months and months to get that approved. It has knocked down to where now maybe it's a couple weeks, maybe a month, and then they give the approval and you go to the gun store, you pick it up, you have your tax stamp. If it's so legal and so dangerous, how come I can pay the government $200 and get it?
Yeah.
That should tell you everything you need to know. It has nothing to do with that. It's money. Now, the original NFA came from the 30s gangsters, era. Capone and the Prohibition and the Tommy guns and all that. And that's where it came from.
Right.
Great. But do not tell me that a rifle with a 6-inch barrel is more deadly than a rifle with a 16-inch barrel. That's crap. This is a money grab. You just want money. You want $200. If that were the case, then they're not that dangerous.
Okay.
So if I could pay for it, it's not that dangerous. So the whole thing was BS, and the Supreme Court said, no, you no longer have that right. You didn't have that right from the start, and you're going to lose that right now. So, and then you have, who was it? Was it Mark Rubio? I don't remember. One of Trump's cabinet picks said that ATF should be the name of a chain of stores, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. It doesn't see a need for it. And I don't see a need for the ATF either. I honestly don't. I call them always taking firearms. I don't care for them because I'm very much pro Second Amendment, and I'm pro anybody who meets the requirements as long as you're not a felon or a prohibited possessor. It's great to be an American, brother, because we have the right that other countries don't have, because the whole purpose of the Second Amendment was to arm the population against a tyrant.
Yeah.
Real hard to take over a country if they're all shooting at you.
Yeah.
So that is why the first thing I always try to do is start taking guns. Hitler did it to Germany. First thing he did was take the guns.
Right.
Now they have the rocks. What's that going to do against somebody who's armed with a weapon? That Second Amendment was made to stop that. Okay, and you have the right to have a gun. People go, well, that was for muskets. Fine, then. Then I can go through your phone because the Constitution doesn't cover that because phones weren't invented then.
Yeah.
So if we want to use that argument, then I no longer need a warrant to go through your phone or tap your phone lines or trace your car because it wasn't invented then. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, that was for muskets, but not for my phone. No. If you want to go back to that argument, then. So it's the idiocy of it.
Yeah.
And I can tell you the big difference between Republicans and liberals. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that are close to center, because you're going to have your just to the right of right, or just to the right of center, and just to your left of center. And that's how the country as a whole really used to be. Just a little bit to the right and just a little bit to the left. It was no big deal if you voted for one over the other. Nobody hated your guts. But then you had your extreme right and your extreme left. And I'm not saying either one of those is correct either, because I've heard some crazy shit out of far right. I'm like, whoa, hold on, dude. You need to back that down a notch.
Yeah.
But If a Republican doesn't want something, by and large, they just don't buy it.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want it. I don't buy it. If a liberal doesn't want something, they don't want anybody to have it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the
That's-
big, giant difference between the two ideologies. You know, like, I'm going to ban this website because I don't like it. We look at it and go, I just don't go to the website. Okay, whatever. That's the big difference. Is
Yeah.
we believe, or I shouldn't say we, but Republicans believe if you don't like something, dude, that's on you, man. You like it, don't like it, I don't care. That's on you. But liberals believe, no, nobody should have it. Nobody. It's that ideology that bothers me.
Yeah.
Like, let's say that you're a flaming Democrat and I'm a flaming Republican. If you told me you're voting for Camelot, I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But if I told you I'm voting for Trump using the modern, oh my God, you're a horrible person and a shitbag, I can't be your friend anymore, we're not going to talk anymore. I'm like, why?
It's because it's the association of what they call MAGA.
Yeah.
Because what they've did is essentially they've split the Republican Party into two identities.
Yeah.
MAGA Republicans and then Republicans.
Yeah.
And then it's like the MAGA Republicans are the diehard Trump supporters, but then regular Republicans are rhinos.
Yeah,
it's just kind of how they,
Republican,
yeah, and it's just weird. It's weird. I'm
If
sorry.
I had to call myself anything, it'd be a libertarian.
Yeah.
Because I believe in the Constitution first.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the two greatest documents ever written. It really is. And it was written by geniuses
Right.
who had just been under the thumb of a tyrant and no longer wanted any part of that.
Yeah.
And they wanted to have the ability to say what they wanted, print what they wanted, worship however they wanted, whoever they wanted. And then, so if you look at the way they designed the Bill of Rights,
Yeah.
it was genius, pure genius. The first one is protecting speech and religion and worship. Second one is guns, which protects the first.
Mm-hmm.
So they did it that way for a reason, in that order.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the third, no quartering soldiers in your house time of war. Fourth, unreasonable search and seizure. Fifth, self-incrimination, stuff like that. But they did them in a specific order for a very good reason, and it was a genius document written. And it's funny is nobody wants to change the First Amendment or third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, tenth. But the second, that's not what they meant. That's not what they meant. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Because if you want to start changing shit, and you can't, that was designed that way for a reason that you could not change. It could be interpreted by the Supreme Court,
Right.
but it cannot be changed. It's pretty clear. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed. There's not a whole lot of gray area in that statement. The right to bear arms doesn't say for this purpose or this purpose or this purpose. It says the right to bear arms shall not be infringed.
Right.
We already have state laws governing gun rights.
Yeah.
Every state has their own. Like in Texas, you can have a gun as a felon again after a certain amount of time.
Yep.
So if you finish your sentence or you finish your parole, the clock starts for 5 years.
Yep.
At the end of those 5 years, you may now possess a firearm again, but you cannot take it out of your house, and you cannot go shooting with it, and you cannot carry it on you, and you cannot have it in your car.
Mm-hmm.
But you may have it at home for home protection. So even Texas, like we do, even though you're a felon, you do have the right to protect yourself.
Yeah.
But after 5 years.
Yeah.
Some states, that's a forever.
Oh.
California, that's a forever. Now, do I agree that every felon shouldn't have a gun? No, and I'll explain that. If you're convicted of robbery, assault, threats, felony threats, murder, sexual assault, you should never have a gun again. You clearly don't make good choices.
Yep.
But if you're convicted of check fraud, like, you probably are okay with a gun. Like, there's the levels of crime. I don't think all felons should have their rights removed. I think it needs to be dependent on what type of crime. Was it violent or nonviolent? Was it white collar?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who stole money on the stock market. That's not a good thing. Doesn't make him any different than a politician in the Senate or Congress. He just got caught, and he wasn't a politician. Probably should be able to have a gun. My issue, if you look at Congress and Senate, is they come into office with no money. They get their government salary for 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, whatever the hell it is. But they come out millionaires. And the math doesn't math. If your salary is 150 grand a year, 180 grand a year, and all of a sudden after 4 years you're a millionaire, that math don't math. What it is insider trading. They're using their connections, especially if you're on the military oversight committee, so you know who's about to get the contract for a plane, Boeing, Lockheed, whatever. You're going to put money in that stock. But no one ever goes after them. SEC doesn't investigate them. The IRS doesn't investigate them. But if I did that as insider trading, I'm going to prison for insider trading. So there's a big disconnect. And of course, Congress shall make no law that does not apply to them equally. But that one seemed to get missed. That one just seemed to kind of take a hard left. Like, well, we're going to turn a blind eye to that. And Trump's idea of term limits for congressmen and senators, absolutely. Because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It always has. There's a reason that we have term limits for the president. Why don't we have term limits for Senate and Congress?
It was funny, too, because I think just George Washington just didn't want to. He just didn't want to like run again. He was just done.
I think he was just like,
he was just
I'm
done
good.
after the second term. So I don't. So that was kind of a good rule because back then George Washington just made the conscious decision. Hey, that's it. I'm done. And that's where the whole 4-year term limit came from. George Washington's decision. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that he doesn't realize that obviously now he was that forward thinking, and how we apply to it now because. In retrospect, who knows how long George Washington would have been the president because he was well liked, especially after the founding of the United States. Well liked across the board.
Well, I've heard another idea, and I've heard this over the years, is like, well, if he's voted in by the public, why couldn't he do a third term if the public wants him that bad?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe, but there's a reason we have term limits.
Yeah.
Okay, and sometimes you need fresh ideas. Sometimes you need new ideas. Sometimes you need new fresh blood. I don't necessarily have a problem with a Democrat, but yesteryear's Democrats, not today's Democrats.
Yeah.
You know, the Democrats like Kennedy, long gone. Mm-hmm. Those kind of Democrats don't exist anymore. You know, even I wasn't the biggest fan of Bill Clinton, but he wasn't that bad, and he actually did a lot trying to secure the border that people just don't remember.
Uh-huh.
He just had other things going on in his presidency that kind of overshadowed that, you know, like getting a blowjob in the Oval Office. And not the first president, not the last president. You know, look at the Kennedy brothers and Marilyn Monroe and Ike and his lady friend. Ain't the first or last president to do that. He's still a human being. And they want to set him and hold him to a different standard. I'm like, he's still a human. Okay, he's still a human. Besides, if you're married to Hillary, yeah. I don't want to get shot in the back of the head suicide style. So I'm not going to say anything more on that. You know, I committed suicide by getting shot in the back of the head 3 times. So I'm going to keep my peace on that one. Hillary, I'm sorry if you're listening. Nothing but love. I can't say that with a straight face. But I'm hearing some disturbing things that even though Kamala conceded and called Trump and congratulated him, although I'm sure she did that at gunpoint from her chief of staff. And even Biden called, they had a meeting at the White House. Yeah. Congratulations. There's still rumors that the Democratic, and these are just rumors, and who knows how true it is, but knowing how they act, I could see them trying a last-ditch effort to either enact martial law on January 20th to stop that from happening, or she's saying that they were going to try to find another way to hold this off. Like that, there's always going to be those rumors. Yeah. We're going to see what happens come January 20th, but I know there was a 4-star general, and I cannot remember. I saw the clip on it, and I cannot remember it now. And I wish to God we had the ability to play the clips, Yeah. But he'd never specified who told him this, but he said that he told them, I will not use the military. So that means it came up somewhere. He will not use the military to stop this inauguration. Which means it got brought up at some point. And he said no. He was going to respect the democratic process. That wasn't going to happen. But what scares me, that means it was brought up. So somebody actually wants to try that. That's
a crazy thing because I've been under martial law before, like back when I lived in Maryland.
Oh,
and that's just...
that was post Freddie Gray, right? No, that had to be before that. You were already here when that happened.
No, I was back in. I was still living in Baltimore for Gray.
What year was that?
I want to say it was Gray.
What year was that? Now I can't remember that off the top of my head.
I'd have to.
I'm kind of curious
because I don't because definitely wasn't for George Floyd, but I want to say it was for Gray.
So you were under martial law with the National Guard, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was weird. You see the soldiers and everything on the street, and I'm freaking coming.
2015.
Yeah, I was freaking going back home or whatever. Soldiers, they'll ask you straight up, like, "What are you doing in the street?" "I'm just going to work, sir." Like that's it. I'm coming back home from work because I used to work the night shift. Like I'm just coming back home from work and I catch the bus. I don't got a car, and he had to let you go. But for the most part, you could not be on the street because they had a strict curfew. Like, you're getting rounded up.
Did
know
you
what
ever
I mean?
see the movie The Siege?
Mm-mm.
Fantastic movie. It's Denzel Washington and Bruce Willis. And the whole scenario in that movie was that they used martial law to take over, I don't remember which borough in New York, but there was terrorism happening.
Mhm.
And the president wanted the active duty army
Yeah.
to come in and take over. And Bruce Willis plays the general who was like, this is not a great idea. This really is a bad idea. And he goes, it's going to be loud. It's going to be noisy. There's going to be men with guns, and it's not going to be mistaken for a VFW parade. And he goes, I recommend, he goes, me and every other ACLU lawyer says this is a bad idea. If you order me to do it, I will do it. But this is a bad idea. And the whole premise of the movie is that they started going overboard, torturing people, and because they're under military law now.
Yeah.
But even under military law, that's a no-no. We don't torture
Mm-hmm.
officially. So, and then you got
Don't
Denzel.
they call it enhanced interrogation?
Enhanced interrogation, but that's waterboarding and stuff like that. It's soft. We're not pulling teeth and hooking a car battery to your balls and shit like that.
Oh, no, Taken style, like Liam
Yeah,
Neeson
we're not
style.
doing that.
Okay.
Okay, so enhanced interrogation is going to be like your sleep deprivation, waterboarding, stuff like that. You think you're going to drown. I've been waterboarded. It sucks. You think you're going to drown. You really do think you're going to drown. All you got to do is just actually be calm there and just sit there, but you can't because the water is hitting you and you think you're going to drown.
Right.
But you really do think it, and that's what they're doing. They're breaking you down mentally. And then you got Denzel, who's the FBI agent, saying, stop this. Stop. They still have rights. They're still citizens. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the whole premise of the movie, was that even the commander of the army for that division said, this is a bad idea. Don't do this. It's going to cause more problems. Still ended up doing it because he was ordered to by the president.
Right.
And then you got the FBI agent saying, stop this. This is a violation of people's rights, and a great movie. But you always had to be careful under martial law because, you do fall under now military law, which is a whole different set of rules.
Yeah, it's like, I wanted it's weird. It's just like, I wanted no parts of that. It's
I
just,
bet.
If, prior to all that happening, and I understand, like, the response to, like, the Freddie Gray killing and stuff like that. Like, Baltimore's history with the citizens and law enforcement is terrible.
It's horrible.
It's just that when you're under martial law, psychologically, it does something to you. It's different if, it's just your everyday humdrum, you're going and doing things, and, it's just regular, your regular normal use of government that you see. Under martial law, the psychological effects is just as, like, important as is the actual outcome and effects if you have to deal with the soldier who is just unapologetically just want to do what they are lawfully allowed to do under martial law. And I think that's just interesting to do if that was an idea that was floated and that a plan was actually enacted upon for Inauguration Day, because it's not going to be pretty. Like, the response, like the actual, like, execution of that plan, no matter how well planned out or well thought out logistically it could be, the execution of it would be horrible. I think, if anything, just let the certification process just take its course and take your legal means to challenge it and protest it, just as Trump did for the 2016 election. Just let that go. Let that do what it's supposed to do and run its course.
Yeah. Do I think there is voter fraud? There always is in every single election. It's never been, all of a sudden this time. There's always. You have counties that more people than were eligible to vote voted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as an example, there's a county with 100,000 eligible voters. This means over 18, not a felon, living in that county, but 112,000 people somehow voted.
Yeah.
So has there been voter fraud? Of course there's been voter fraud. There always will be voter fraud. It always has been, always will be. You cannot
Ballot
stop that.
fixing and all that.
Ballot fixing.
That's like
ballots
in
being
history,
burned.
You can see things like that, yeah.
And I was actually, so when I went and voted this time, and I vote every time, I can't complain if I don't vote. And it's been one of the greatest rights there is the right to vote, to pick who represents you. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
As countries, they don't have that right. How well it's working out for them.
Yeah.
Because again, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. There is no way to stay benevolent as a dictator. It does not work.
Right.
So when us in the U.S., we have legislative, executive, and judicial branches. We have checks and balances. You got the Senate and Congress. And we have all these checks and balances because the founding fathers are smart enough to realize you cannot leave all the power in the hands of one person, or you'd have a tyrant all over again, which is they were trying to get away from in England.
Mm-hmm.
So they were smart to put all that crap in place.
Yeah.
and has stayed unmessed with, but all of a sudden now it's a problem. All of a sudden now this might be an issue. No, it's not. You just don't like the results.
Yeah.
And the fact that counties that have been blue turned red should tell you volumes.
Or even closer to
People
the
are
line.
tired of it.
Yeah.
People are noticing how much money groceries are costing. Gas is costing. Houses are costing. The cost of living is skyrocketing. I go grocery shopping and I get pissed off every time I leave because I didn't buy $300 worth of groceries. I bought about $150 worth of groceries, but it cost me $300.
Yeah.
And and I'm putting less and less in my basket and getting the same number every time. Yeah, I'm getting a little agitated about that.
Mm-hmm.
A gallon of milk is not $9.
Right.
That is ridiculous. Eggs are not $6 for 12. Okay, this is not normal. This is abnormal.
Mhm.
Box of strawberries that big, $8. What?
Yeah.
I mean, this is abnormal, and I'll tell you what it is though. And for those that don't realize how this works, is you have to have something back in your currency, whether it's gold, silver, something backs your currency.
Yeah.
As soon as you devalue that, so it used to be $100 worth of gold was worth $100 in cash, and you could exchange that cash for $100 worth of gold, real gold, 14 karat, 18, whatever, but it had value. But the way we've been printing money now and driving the inflation up is now it takes $2,000 to get $100 worth of gold. So that's why everything is so much more expensive. That's why houses are being valued instead of about the average forever was about $100 a square foot for a house. Maybe 110 if you did the custom kitchen, custom bathroom, the vaulted ceilings, and maybe 120 depending on if it's a really rich area of town. But now it's averaging 220, 240, 250 a square foot.
Yeah.
That's abnormal. I mean, you got a shack in California that's going for $750,000 for a shack.
Yeah.
That's 2 bedrooms in the ghetto in East LA.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not gotten that bad here in Texas, but it's getting there, and it is skyrocketing, and people can't afford that. They're pricing people out of buying houses
Right.
to where now people think a $3,000 mortgage is normal a month. That is not normal to spend $3,000 on a mortgage.
That's a lot of money.
It used to be a high mortgage, it was like $1,500. That's like, whoa, like what kind of palace do you live in with $1,500? Now, if you can get a house for $1,500 a month, it's going to be a 1-bedroom shack in the worst part of town where your car's going to be on blocks every day you come out.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough, your car is just not gone. That's where we're at now. Trump wants to put us back on the gold standard. For those that do not understand the gold standard, now I'm going to get some messages for this, and I hope I do. That means people are listening, so thank you. Say anything you want, just spell our names right. Nixon took us off the gold standard to where a dollar was worth a dollar of gold. Nixon took us off that and put us on the petrodollar. Well, that doesn't work. That fluctuates way too much.
Mm-hmm.
The price of oil fluctuates way too much. You couldn't really do it, but it's been that way ever since then. Trump wants to put us back on the gold standard, which is going to freak people out because they're going to not understand how that works. My house is now only worth $200,000. Yes, but it's actually 200,000 legitimate dollars is what your house is now worth, not the inflated value of $400,000 that is actually not worth.
Right.
And people are going to freak out. But people, pay attention. If they put us back on a gold standard, you're not losing any money. You're still going to get the pay you're getting right now from your employer.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to have more spending power.
Right.
Gas will be less expensive. Because I remember when I started driving gas under $1 a gallon in California, it was under $1 a gallon in California. And even then, I thought that was expensive at like 85 cents a gallon. I was like, yeah, damn. Now I wish I would kill to go back to. I could fill a whole tank for $15. I drive a Silverado. It cost me $75 to fill that tank. When you could afford a house, when one income could support a whole family, one income, you can't do that anymore unless that person just has one of those jobs where they make a $250,000 a year. You can do that.
Yeah.
But the average citizen in this country cannot afford now on one salary to have a house and pay for everything, and the wife or the husband can stay at home with the kids. It just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
The dollar does not have the value it had to do that. Trump wants to change that. Now, it sounds great. I'm rooting for him. I mean, I'm really rooting for him. Come on, big guy. Help us out. But it's not an easy process, and people don't understand it. They're going to freak out.
Yeah.
They think they're going to lose buying power. You're actually going to gain buying power. Now, I'm not a financial expert by any stretch. I can do the research, but I'm not a financial expert. But citizens can look this stuff up on their own and do the math.
Yeah.
And the gold standard would help us out so much. It would lower taxes. That's what they don't realize. It would lower taxes. They don't get that. So if you're happy spending money on taxes, public, well, then yeah, throw a fit. But if he's not going to tax overtime, retirement, Social Security, you're going to make actually more money.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to actually earn your dollar. Not only that, and I don't really want to get started on immigration.
Well, yeah, for sure.
But let's just say if 80 million mouths disappeared out of this country, which is what the last count is, then we would have more spending money. The government would be able to use that money better allocated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're putting it towards the wrong things, because you never hear about Social Security run out of money, or you never hear about welfare run out of money, but you hear Social Security run out of money all the time. That should tell you everything you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
No other country is stepping forward to help us. Nobody's coming out of the woodwork to give us money. We give everybody else money.
Yeah.
And they're not going to pay it back. You know, I got nothing against Haiti, but every time Haiti has a hurricane that destroys the island, they never ask the Dominican Republic next door for help. They ask us, and we spend billions.
Yeah.
Not our problem. If we cannot fix our own problems here, we can't help anybody else. It's the lifeguard. It's the lifeguard process. If I'm trying to save you, and you're going to drown me, I have to let you go.
Yeah.
Because you're going to drown us both and kill us both. It's not that we don't want to save you. It's that it will kill us doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Well, same process here. If we keep spending money on other countries that don't do anything for us, we're going to lose because they're not taking care of us. And we can't take care of ourselves. We can't take care of anybody else.
Yeah.
It's that simple. It's you help me and I'll help you. But if you're not helping me, hey, sorry, man. There's a quid pro quo in life. And I'm sorry to be the first one to tell people that. You know, life isn't fair. I don't know if you never heard that before. Sorry, people. If you never heard this before, life's not fair. Life's not easy. It was never designed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Anything worth having ain't going to be easy. Anything easy ain't going to be worth having. Okay, that applies to women. That applies to jobs. That applies to anything. Anything worth having, or men. I should say men, not just women. Sorry. But that applies across the board.
Right.
Anything worth having ain't going to be easy to get. You're going to have to work for it. And honestly, wouldn't you have more pride in something you had to work hard to get?
Yeah.
The modern thought process
anyway,
of everybody's a winner.
Yeah.
No, not everybody's a winner. When I was growing up, first place was it. That's it. Everybody else, hey, thanks for coming.
There's just a new thought where it just, they feel like, so I guess a more progressive thought is that there shouldn't be such a, like, I guess, a willingness to go and work very hard for something that they feel like it should be supplied by the government.
Yeah, just given to them.
Yeah. So that's a very progressive thought.
See, progressive is such a horrid word because it sounds good. It sounds like a great word, but it's really not.
Yeah.
And regressive sounds horrible, but it's actually a little more accurate. If discipline worked for 5,000 years and all of a sudden stopped working, did the discipline actually stop working or did the execution of it stop working? Did you stop doing it? So, growing up, I had consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that it was going to suck when I got home. And that was just going to be it. There was not going to be negotiating with my mother. It was going to happen. And if I didn't win first place, that was my fault. Be faster. But now this every kid's a winner crap, they take that into the real world where it ain't working that way. And the boss has room to give one person a raise. Well, it's going to be the one who actually performed on time, respected the job, dressed correctly, did his job, actually did his job. That's the one that's going to get the raise. And the one who always comes late. And the one who does not respect the chain of command and does not wear a uniform correctly and does not abide by company policy. He's not going to get the raise. And then he's going to go crying because he didn't get the raise. Well, you didn't earn it.
Yeah.
But because, how can you blame him at that point? His whole life he was given everything.
Mm-hmm.
So can you really blame him for being raised that way? And that's just where we're at now. And that is a dangerous, dangerous thought process. And it has caused more problems in this world. I mean, just don't get started on the discipline of the kids because that's where we come in as cops, dealing with them.
Yeah, I never really like doing juvenile calls and stuff like that. It sucks.
Yeah, you got parents, and I used to ask parents this to their face. Well, have you tried parenting? I mean, I don't know if it's a wild thought, but have you tried actually being a parent to your child? And they look at you like a monkey doing a math problem. I'm like, what? Parenting? Yeah, have you actually disciplined your child? I don't know, take away their phone, take away the electronics, make them do a chore. I mean, my grandmother's favorite chore was weeds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God! If I told my grandmother I was bored or I was in trouble, I was pulling weeds. I never told her I was bored twice. But if I was in trouble, go pull weeds. My dad, go wash and wax the car. You're in trouble. You've done something wrong, and it's a benefit for the parent. I don't got to wash and wax the car. He's in trouble. He's going to do it. And if I did a half-assed job, do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Either do it right the first time or keep doing it.
Yeah.
There might be 5 coats of wax on that car by the time we're done, but it's going to be done correctly. Now, and I honestly thank God every day that I didn't have one of these growing up.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, God. It has caused more problems than they're worth.
Mm-hmm.
Social media being the biggest one.
Yeah.
He bullied me online. Have you thought about logging out?
Yeah, social media is.
How many
That's
calls
why
have you taken? I was threatened online on Facebook. Sent me a message.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about blocking that person or logging out? Why should I have to block him?
Yeah, that's why there's a lot of psychological studies for the effects of social media on people.
It has warped their brains.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, for me, every time I deployed, I can't bring a phone. I'm in the Middle East. Phone doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'd call my subscriber, put my phone on, suspend my phone until I get back in the country. I'll call you when I get back. And drop my phone in my bag, and I wouldn't even see it again until the end of the deployment. I'd charge it in the airport in Baltimore, and I landed in the U.S., charge it, call them, turn my line back on, and here come 10,000 text messages. I've been out of the country, but I lived without my phone.
Right.
And for military guys that deployed, it really wasn't that bad. We're used to not having it. Like, everything you need to know, you'll be told by your supervision. They will tell you what you need to know. And there's a TV in the chow hall if you want to go watch TV. Yeah. Have a good time. The news is local. Don't worry about anything else. You have email. And of course, when I first deployed, my first deployment, we had, if you could find a phone, it'd be a lag in the conversation. You have about a 3-second lag. You say your sentence, it'd be a 3-second lag till they got it and then responded. And email was you didn't have a whole lot of computers over there to do that. So you might call home once a week. Okay. That's just how it was. You called home once a week. Honey, are you okay? Any problems? It's emergency, they'll email, but I may not even get to a computer for a week. And that's just how it was.
Right.
By the end of the war, man, you got your internet right there in your hooch, and you got a cell phone you can buy. Because I actually did my last tour bought a Middle Eastern cell phone, and it worked. I called the States with it. It was just like $3 a minute. So it's a really fast conversation. Yeah. And then, okay, yeah, I love you. Quick, I love you. Not a long, I love you. Quick, I love you. This has cost me $30 for this 10-minute call, but I could actually call the States with it.
Right.
So, but I still did that sparingly. So the effects of phones and the effects of having that instant communication, instant social media, and instant gratification actually have caused problems. Mm-hmm. I had to actually memorize phone numbers growing up.
Yeah.
And I still know my first phone number, my grandparents' first phone number. But honestly, now I could not tell you anyone else's phone number.
Yeah, I still remember my grandmother's phone number.
Because you had to know it.
My first phone number.
You had to know it.
Yeah, that's really about it.
Yeah, but you had to know those things. Now, put in the phone. And I'll tell you, the funniest thing I ever saw was the first time I arrested somebody and fought over a phone. I took his wallet, didn't say a word. Took his keys out of his pocket, didn't say a word. Took his phone out of his hand, and the fight was on. I was like, over a phone? Because that's their, oh my God, my entire life
is on the phone. Yeah.
Okay, you're going to get to keep it, dude. It just can't go with you inside the jail. Mm-hmm. Like, it'll go on the property, and you'll get it when you get out, and they'll hand it to you. I'm going to turn it off so it doesn't kill the battery. No. You can't take my phone. That's illegal. You're in custody. I can strip you naked down to a pair of underwear if I want to. Like, you're not entitled to any of this. But over a phone. They want to fight you over knives, guns, wallets, keys, cigarettes, lighter, whatever. But boy, the phone, they'll fight beyond, and you're going to brawl. I was like, oh my God, you're going to get it back, dude. Just relax. You're going to be booked in and booked out in about 10 hours once you get bonded, dude. Relax.
Very true.
But the phone, the panic that they will not have that instant communication with the outside world.
Yeah.
And I hear it when I have to monitor jail calls. And it is hilarious. Because you have these people that will call their significant other or their mother like every 5 minutes from inside the jail. Like, dude, relax. And you can tell when the parent is getting pissed or the wife or husband's getting pissed. Like, hey, I just talked to you 5 minutes ago. Nothing's changed. And they just keep calling and calling and calling. But getting back to the politics, it's been a wild ride. This country's never been more divided in its whole history outside the Civil War than it is right now over something like this. And the suicide rate has skyrocketed. I know we've had 2 documented alone in this county just from that we could trace directly to the results of the election because they left notes saying why they did it. But the last count I had U.S. wide was over 3,000 suicides just specifically from the election.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, get them to go to work the next day. Have you seen some of these TikToks screaming, why?
I have
they voted.
Yeah, the first day, but then I stopped looking at them.
I know, I get a good laugh out of them. The freakouts.
Yeah.
And if you look at the certain demographic that's freaking out. Like, these people crack me up. You know, you had this, well, how could you do this to me? They voted. That's how voting works, dude. That's the whole purpose of voting. And I'll tell you, it was the funniest thing I ever saw, because every election I've ever watched, the Democrats always start out winning first. And then the Republicans start taking over towards the end. Then it's usually a toss-up near the end. He started out on top minute one when the polls opened and stayed there the whole time.
Yeah, he did.
Because the early voting.
Yep.
Because they took the early voting when the polls opened and started that as a base. And he was way ahead. And I knew he wasn't going to get the West Coast. That wasn't going to happen. And he was not going to get the Northeast. That was not going to happen. But he got a lot of the states that were blue last time around that have now turned back red because people are tired of spending more money, getting less, feeling broke all the time, trying to feed a family. I'm buying just groceries for me and I'm spending $300 damn.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what a family of, say, a husband, wife, 2 kids or 3 kids is going to cost. And kids eat all day long. Snack, 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 snack.
Yep.
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how you don't spend $2,000 a month in groceries.
Mm-hmm.
How are you supposed to live with a $3,000 mortgage, $2,000 a month in groceries, $1,000 a month car payment on a car that ain't worth $90,000? You bought it; it wasn't worth $90,000.
Yep.
When I bought my first truck in 2009, my first Silverado, it was like $28,000. That was fully loaded. That was all the bells and gadgets and whistles. It was $28,000. That same truck now, comparatively, like $90,000.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The cost of metal didn't go up that high. It's the perception of it went up that high.
Mm-hmm.
And so people now think, oh, it's 90 and they gave me a deal for 80. I got a deal. No, you really didn't get a deal. And now your monthly payment on your car is $1,000, which used to be a mortgage payment.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But people are still surviving. How? I don't know. So when people tell me, well, yeah, I started selling drugs, I make more money. It's not okay. And I don't condone it, but I understand it.
Yeah.
And it's sad that they felt they had to go to that level to provide for their family. Does not excuse it, does not condone, does not make it okay. But when you got 3 kids and a family you got to support, and your job ain't cutting it, and you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose your car. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And I think if you notice, when inflation goes up, the crime rate goes up.
Did not notice that.
Yeah.
Did I try to make a
If you
correlation
look at the trends, if you look at the data trends over the last 40 years, when the inflation goes up and the unemployment goes up now, the crime rate goes up.
Oh, okay.
When unemployment comes down, inflation comes down, the crime rate comes down.
Because crime's out of desperation.
Crimes out of desperation. People that normally may never, ever have committed a burglary are now committing burglaries because I cannot feed my family. Now, me as a detective, I'm going to do my job, and you're going to pay for that crime.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference between that hardcore guy who's done his whole life just because he enjoys doing it, and the guy that's never had a record and he gets popped for burglary, and it's like, why are you doing this, man?
Mm-hmm.
And they tell you, I can't afford life. I cannot provide for my wife and kids. What am I supposed to do? I get it, man, but you can't break into other people's houses.
Right.
But as a human, you kind of have some empathy. Like, I get it, man, and that sucks, and I'm sorry, and I wish I could help. I trust me, there's been days I've thought about OnlyFans. I'm like, I can show pictures of my feet. I'm not going to show them pictures of anything else, but I can start with feet and see what happens from there, because it is so expensive to live.
Right.
And you do all your bills and look how little money you have after you spend your bills, but you're expected to save for an emergency. Well, how the hell do you save an emergency when you got no money left and you still got to buy gas for the month? You still got to buy groceries. You still got to buy, you got your water and your power and your cell phone bill and all that. You can't.
Yeah.
How are you going to save? So now less than 5% of Americans have money in savings for an emergency.
Yeah.
That is a scary, scary thing. One problem could wipe you out completely.
Yeah.
And that's a scary, scary, sad thing. So all I can say is if Trump does what he promised, fingers crossed, a lot of those problems will start disappearing. Now, we can't do anything about somebody that can't handle money. If you can't handle money, you just can't handle money.
Yeah.
You got people that go, well, I'm broke now, but if I got $1 million, that'd be fine. No, if you can't handle money now, you can't handle money then. That's simple economics, financial, responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
But by and large, while people are stupid and they do dumb things,
mm-hmm.
if they're smart, they start getting more money, maybe you'll be able to save.
Right.
Buying a house. Now, what I will feel bad for is, let's say we do the gold standard. We flop that. The downside is the people that already have a loan with a bank, they're going to be paying on a house that's not worth the cost of that, unless they revalue that at the same time.
Right.
If they actually revalue that at the same time, then you might see a switch. Okay. So all of a sudden, instead of $3,000 a month, you might actually only be paying $1,500 a month.
Okay.
if they revalue it. It's going to be a mess trying to do that, and it ain't going to be an overnight process.
Oh, absolutely not.
No, you're talking a couple of years while they do that because it's not going to be easy to do.
Mhm.
But it will strengthen our dollar against other countries on earth. And if you notice, the next morning, the stock market, after the election on the 6th, the stock market skyrocketed through the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. It's not going to crash. I guarantee you it would have gone the other direction.
Yeah, that's true.
And that should tell you everything that other countries, and you got other countries already coming to Jesus real fast now. Like, hey, we're sorry for everything we've done, and we'd like to reach out and make peace. Then we're willing to do it under the current administration that's about to leave. But under the administration that's coming, all of a sudden they're realizing, oh, yeah, no, we're sorry. We're sorry for all the things we've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have a long road to hoe, but he's only got 4 years to do it. He can't get a third term. So if he's going to do anything, he's only got 4 years to get this crap done.
Yep.
And he's going to be fighting people every step of the way because Congress and Senate have the midterms in 2 years.
Yeah.
And if they want to get reelected, they're going to kind of have to toe that very careful line. So are they actual Republicans or are they rhinos?
Mm-hmm.
Or actual Democrats or dinos?
Yep.
It's going to be a wild ride for the next 4 years. And I'm kind of not happy about it because everybody's just being so extra about it. To use a modern word, they're being extra. Like, dude, you need to relax and just calm down. Use this instead of this.
That's why I like voting locally.
Yeah, see,
Like I like voting locally versus like voting nationally. Locally, it's great because it's close to home. Everything that affects you right here. School board elections, mayoral, sheriff elections, constables, all that stuff. Judges, all very local. So it affects you right there.
Yep.
It's very important. And I feel like that, like a lot of folks, if you focus on that, then of course, you can take your time to look into your national elections, your state reps, your congressmen, senators, and, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know, but they do need to take a relax. This election has just been super polarized from the time Trump was in office the first time up until now. It's just super polarized. It actually gives me a headache.
No, it did.
Gives me a headache.
Because it was everywhere.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just didn't like him because he does not speak like a politician, not act like a politician, what people think a politician should act like or speak like. He says what's on his mind, which is refreshing because most presidents have a speechwriter. They're not going to say what's on their mind. They're going to say what they think the public wants to hear. He actually says what's on his mind, how he feels about things, and people just quite aren't ready for that. And they freak out. And, oh, my God, he said what? Mm-hmm. Okay, you didn't like it. Didn't make it untrue. And that's the biggest thing from the national level down to the local level. Just because you don't like the information does not make it untrue. So, I don't like what he said, so therefore it's not true. Okay, that's the same thing as sticking your head in the sand and going, this is not happening. Closing my eyes. The monster's not under the bed if I close my eyes. Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah.
So, close this out by just saying it's going to be a wild ride the next 4 years. And if he does half of what he says he's going to do, it can only be for the better of this entire nation as a whole.
Right.
And if people are stopped long enough to actually think and realize what will this benefit me, they'll realize that this wasn't that bad. Okay, no one's going to be a slave again. No one's rights are getting removed. All it's going to do is actually help you. You have more money, more spending power. You can actually go on vacations. You can actually buy some things you want without having to use credit constantly. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's positive for me. I think it's a great thing. But I'm not a financial whiz, so maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too old fashioned. I don't know.
I'm just. I don't like spending money more than what I should. So
Well, the problem is that's all you do now.
yeah, like I had the pleasure of, like, in my senior year of high school, the teacher actually put on like a financial class for seniors, and that was like the last time he taught it, my senior year in high school, and that was pretty cool because
They need to do that.
we learned about credit early. We learned about like kind of like creating like a budget, a spreadsheet, really how much money should go to savings after you get a paycheck, what you can use for like your fun times after you paid all your bills. So it was a good foundation. That should be an elective in the schools that can actually like have the staffing to do it, because I feel like it'd help. Because I do know like some younger people, of course, that work in our field. It's always like getting 18, 19-year-olds that are interested, 21-year-olds, and just hearing the things they spend money on is because like they're still by themselves. They could still live with their parents. It's like, man, you got these bad habits now. It's hard to change a habit as you age. So I hope you just decide to lose it, just based on understanding that now you have more responsibilities. But if not, life's going to show you the hard way. And then you got to adjust on the fly, and that's a little more difficult to do. So I would like
when the
all that to
overtime
take care.
skyrocketed at the jail, and these guys are working 72 hours a week. They were 19 years old getting these massive paychecks. And I mean, they were clearing 10 G's a month at 19 years old. What do? They run out and buy a Raptor or a Hellcat. I'm like, okay, this isn't going to last forever.
Hey,
and when this goes back down to 40 hours a week, and all of a sudden your entire paycheck makes that payment, yeah, you got a problem.
That's how all the listeners out there that's not elite. That's how you know if your best friend has became a cop or they work in some type of law enforcement job. They show up to your house in a Camaro, a Challenger, a Charger, a freaking Trackhawk, or something like that. Hey, just know they probably went to your local jail and picked up an app and got hired. That's exactly how it happens.
I met one of our smarter detention officers. He's only been with us a year. He's now just turned 19, but he was very smart. He still lives with his parents. But he said, I have a car that my dad gave me. And so he goes, I'm saving every nickel right now. Mm-hmm. And he goes, that way I can buy a house. I'm like, that's a smart kid. He goes, I don't spend money on anything I don't have to. That's a smart guy.
A lifted 250.
That one is going to go a long way. That one is going to do very well financially.
They pull into the parking lot, bumping that bass.
It has got to the point, though, where our own detention academy has to actually put on financial training for these kids.
And they should, because, they really should. They really, really should.
And they have, but that should have been done in high school, like you said. And high schools don't teach how to balance a budget, checkbooks, how credit works, how your credit rating works.
Yeah.
They don't explain this stuff. You just got to kind of figure it out as an adult. So when you start out with a base credit rating of 500, it can go up or it can go down.
Yep.
Okay. And you want to be around 700 or higher. 750 is even better. 800 is great. 850 is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't explain that. And they don't explain that bad financial decisions can actually cost you for 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
While you try to clean that up. And it affects your buying ability, your APRs you're going to spend on a house or a car, because nobody explained it to them. And so how can you really blame them if nobody actually explained it to them?
Yeah.
So it was not hidden information. They just didn't know it existed. So I think we beat that drum enough. Listeners, we're glad we're back. We had a lot going on, and there's more episodes to come, more content to come. J-Man and I are happy to get back out there and give you all something to listen to on the way to work, and you're sitting in the stop and go traffic that I can do every day now and hate life doing it. But brothers, sisters, watch your backs out there. For our civilian listeners, we're always hiring. But thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. I do get your comments. I do read your comments. J-Man reads your comments. Some of them hilarious. Some of them are downright dumb. But hey, that means you're listening, so we do appreciate this. Keep listening even if you want to cuss me out. So from South Texas at Running Code with J-Man and I. J-Man, you got anything to add?
No. It's just good to be back.
Well, it is good to be back. We're out of here.